happens out in the crowd.
And
the
there
handshake.
And
these players are ready to battle.
And here we go, moving into the top 8. René Alverenga versus Tomoyuki Yoshimura.
Oh, baby. Top cut, top 8, game 1 team preview. René's team, Tapu Koko, Arcanine, Tapu Fini, Garchomp, Celesteela, and Hariyama. Basically, it's kind of the standard sort of core that we've been seeing throughout this tournament. A little bit different from the other games in the meta with the Hariyama and the Celesteela actually coming back strong here at the end, up against Tomoyuki Yoshimura, hoping that his snow is not going to melt here in the Anaheim sun. Nihilego, Tapu Koko, Salamence, and Metagross, that Metamince core. Buzzwole, and if you've got it on your bingo cards, mark off Gastrodon in the top 8 of Worlds.
That is absolutely true. You are right, Evan. René has a very standard team. Usually in that slow, hard-hitting slot, players do opt for more Snorlax, but hey, guess what? Guess what beats Snorlax? Hariyama. That fighting type attack, that close combat does so much damage to Snorlax. As long as you can get it off before it goes for a curse, also providing a lot of good fake-out support right there. Over on Tomoyuki's side, of course, a much more obscure team. Not a lot of Pokemon that we see. Buzzwole is a Pokemon that does see some usage. Gastrodon was a very popular Pokemon at the beginning stage of the game as a kind of tank, but yesterday I actually saw a very cool tech that Gastrodon gets. It's called Clear Smog, and that clears away any sorts of stats boosts. It's great for Snorlax, great for removing any beast boost that a Pokemon may get, even though the most popular beast boosts that are given to they're given to Steel-type Pokemon, which isn't affected. But again, Gastrodon has such a cool role, but it might not even come in handy here because there is no Snorlax to try to wipe away those boosts at all. Tapu Fini could possibly go for Swagger, or not Swaggers. It does get access to Swagger. Don't get me wrong. That's a cool combo, but it also Calm Minding up.
All right, well, we are heading into game here. Both players have selected their Pokemon. Salamence and Tapu Koko will be the choice for Tomoyuki, while that Hariyama will be out on the field turn 1 here alongside Tapu Koko for René. Going to get the Intimidate off from Salamence onto Hariyama. Not negligible. Pretty good to get that Intimidate on that bulky physical attacker, but also Hariyama out here threatening the fake-out pressure on both of these Pokemon.
Yeah.
And of course, the Tapu Koko mirror that we've seen so often.
Yeah, even though Hariyama's out on the field does provide fake-out support, it does not like its position at all. Hariyama will not enjoy facing off against that Salamence. It's already intimidated, not going to be doing that much damage. And of course, Salamence and Tapu Koko really resist Hariyama's very powerful same-type attack bonus moves. A close combat going into those, that's not going to make any sense at all. Tapu Koko, on the other hand, on René's side, does have a positive matchup against that Salamence because of its access to Dazzling Gleam. Can kind of chip away, but it all depends on how Tomoyuki's Salamence is trained.
All right, well, it is trained to retreat in favor of Metagross, it looks like. So going to get the Metagross out on the field, while Tomoyuki is just going to protect Tapu Koko right now. Hariyama does go for a fake out onto what was Salamence, now Metagross, so getting a little bit of chip damage here, while Tapu Koko is also going to be able to fire off a Dazzling Gleam, hitting that Metagross for negligible damage as well. So Tomoyuki just choosing this turn to position that Metagross out on the field, while René tries to go for a play there.
Yeah, and you don't see a Flame Orb activate on the Hariyama, so that might signify that this is a much more bulky Hariyama, or maybe he's just relying on something else to status that Hariyama, but most likely opting for a bulkier version here. That Tapu Koko right now, that Dazzling Gleam did no damage at all to that Metagross, and that Metagross is ready to punish that Hariyama with possible powerful Zen Headbutt, or even targeting down the Tapu Koko over on René's side with a Meteor Mash as well. Tomoyuki's Tapu Koko can go for a Dazzling Gleam to chip away at that Hariyama, and it's still pretty safe. Like, Tapu Koko on René's side can go for a Dazzling Gleam, but that's really all that will do that much damage to Tomoyuki's Tapu Koko.
All right, well, René does not like the matchup that his own Tapu Koko has. Will switch out for Celesteela, actually not liking either of his choices here. Switches the Hariyama out for the Garchomp. Garchomp still maybe eating a Dazzling Gleam here on the switch-in. Tomoyuki's Metagross at least is going to protect this turn, so no damage coming out from the Metagross, and actually it's going to be the Gigavolt Havoc from Tomoyuki.
If it hits in that Celesteela slot, that is dangerous for René because that is your wall, that is your bread and butter gone off the field.
Oh, baby! That's the Gigavolt Havoc. That is a connect with the Celesteela on the switch-in.
Yep, and Celesteela does not enjoy that at all thanks to that Electric Train. That should be the KO right there. No! Hangs on! Okay, with the Wackenberry.
Berry.
That's a berry we don't see often anymore.
Yo, that's a throwback. Celesteela holding that Whack-and-Berry, able to tank that Gigavolt Havoc on the switch-in. So Tomoyuki not picking up the KO there, but getting that Celesteela all the way down to red health already is still a big deal.
Yeah, and you don't want to see your Celesteela take that much damage. You know, the Whack-and-Berry did allow it to survive, but there's no residual recovery with that leftovers or that massive recovery with a Pinch Berry either.
Yeah.
So, you know, going for survival, not going to matter too much because now the Celesteela has to get out right away.
Yeah, Celesteela, you know, at least it can stick around and not get hit by an Earthquake from Garchomp, but you know, like you mentioned, no recovery here without those leftovers. Needs to get Leaf Seeds off to be able to recover at all.
Yep, and Salamence comes in to go for that Intimidate. Big Intimidate on that Garchomp.
Yeah, big Intimidate on Garchomp, going to weaken this incoming Earthquake or other physical attacking move from the Garchomp. Also going to get the Intimidate off onto Celesteela. No attacks coming out from Tapu Koko, just going to protect itself right now. And René goes for the Swords Dance, going to negate that Intimidate completely and actually boost it a little bit more. Celesteela going for the Heavy Slam onto Tapu Koko, so René either not afraid of Tapu Koko or just trying to sacrifice that Celesteela there.
Yeah, and you know, you are now at one stage of increased attack thanks to that Swords Dance on that Garchomp, but at the same time, that Salamence threatens that Garchomp as well. So you really have to pick and choose your battles here. You can either go for a Rock Slide and take a hit from that Tapu Koko and try to do damage to that Salamence, maybe make it flinch so that you can set it up for a KO the next turn. But again, you might be able to go for the Earthquake, pick up the KO on the Tapu Koko, but then you're trading Garchomp for that Tapu Koko. Of course, Tomoyuki can just see right through that and switch out.
All right, big plays here for René. He has invested a lot in that Garchomp, needs to get something out of it. Ooh, Tomoyuki just going to retreat Salamence for Metagross. Really calling a bluff here.
It could be big if it's an Earthquake.
Oh, just to protect from René's Garchomp. Not going on the offensive at all right now. Tapu Koko does go for a Volt Switch, will pick up the KO onto the Celesteela. Have to imagine Tomoyuki's looking to cycle those Intimidates to get rid of that Swords Dance boost here.
Yeah, and that was a very smart play right there from Tomoyuki because, you know, you get your Tapu Koko out. If you hit into... You get the KO on that Celesteela, and then you can possibly get that Salamence back out. You know, you might be threatening something with that Metagross, but you're also getting another Intimidate off on that Garchomp. And if that is not enough to get the KO on Metagross, you're most likely just going to activate a weakness policy and let that Metagross set up to start sweeping through your team.
Yeah, a lot of these Metagross are trained to survive some of these, you know, non-boosted Earthquakes, especially if it's out in still has both all the targets on the field, weakening it just a little bit. So definitely have to be taking that into account when you're using a Pokemon like Garchomp here. It is the Salamence switch-in, so going to bring Garchomp's attack back to neutral here. René needs to make a choice on what he's going to bring out here. Hariyama is an obvious choice here, just to exert some more fake-out pressure, maybe buy some time for another Swords Dance.
And here we go. What is the choice going to be? It is the Hariyama, so that is some fake-out support over on René's side. Of course, yeah, you can fake out. It's hard to choose which one to fake out. Like, if you fake out that Salamence, then Metagross can just go for a possible Zen Headbutt on the Hariyama. If it even is carrying Zen Headbutt, it can also go for a Meteor Mash to hit on that Garchomp and slowly whittle away at it. And really, Garchomp doesn't really have much that can deal with Salamence anymore. Yeah. You can even go for a fake out and then a Swords Dance possibly. But again, like, you need to find a way to deal with that Salamence. Garchomp not known to carry Dragon Claw anymore unless you're an Assault Vest variant or a Choice Scarf variant, but we've already seen the Swords Dance, so it's not going to be either. And really, you have Rock Slide, and Rock Slide is the best move in the game, though.
Rock Slide is, in many ways, the best move in the game. Tomoyuki bringing Buzzwole out instead of Metagross. Likes that matchup better, it looks like. Fake Out will connect with Salamence, so no damage coming out. The Rock Slide will connect on both Pokemon. With no extra boost from Swords Dance, deals a good amount of damage to Salamence and a little bit to Buzzwole. Actually, a little weak. That flinch, of course, coming from the Fake Out, not from the rocks.
You never know.
Just double it up.
Double flinch. What if it's a double flinch, right?
Super flinch. It's still flinch this next turn.
Yeah, so...
Oh, wait. No ideas for Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
So, now... That Rock Slide's not going to be enough to pick up the KO on Salamence. It's going to be close, but... Again, that Buzzwole also threatens that Garchomp now because Buzzwole does have access to Ice Punch. There's no Intimidate dropped on that Buzzwole at all, so that Buzzwole is going to be hitting very strong with its very, you know, buff muscle body. So it's still not that best position for René. He's going to have to do a little bit more maneuvering to try to get himself in better board position. Again, you know, those Intimidates are paying off so well for Tomoyuki because the Salamence is just hanging on.
Yeah, Tomoyuki making very good use of the ability to just cycle those Intimidates onto all of René's physical attackers. Tapu Koko, the final Pokemon that was in the back there, the only Pokemon not affected by Intimidate. Otherwise, both Hariyama and Garchomp are top targets for those Intimidates. René just opting to protect this turn, not going to deal any damage, really wants to get that Tapu Koko in, it looks like. And Buzzwole catches the Tapu Koko on the switch-in with this Poison Jab, deals a lot of damage, and picks up a Poison on the Tapu Koko, meaning that Tapu Koko's days are very much numbered.
You mean by one?
Yeah,
by one turn?
By one.
Yeah, of course, this Metagross can also pick it off with a possible Bullet Punch as well. So really, I mean, if you notice that Tomoyuki actually reacted to that Garchomp because he knew that turn was absolutely safe, and you know, Tomoyuki is just playing around René right now, so it's tough. Like, Tapu Koko getting knocked out is going to be big. If Garchomp can somehow possibly find a way to set up to get its attack stat back up, +1 Rock Slide should be enough to get the KO on Salamence. Here we have Tapu Koko forced to switch out. Yeah,
Tapu Koko forced to switch out, or else it may not have been able to deal enough damage. René really wants to try and get a lot of damage off onto Tomoyuki before it goes down to the Poison. Hariyama switches in to eat that Bullet Punch, the only option there, and it looks like we are going to see the Tectonic Rage coming out here from Garchomp. René knowing he needs to start making some plays.
Yeah, and if you can KO this Metagross, that removes the option for Tomoyuki to use Bullet Punch on the Tapu Koko, which will allow it to have one more turn at least, and that does connect on that Metagross, and that should be the KO coming from that neutral attack set, thanks to that Swords Dance from way earlier on.
Yeah, and Metagross taking some chip damage earlier. René picks up his first KO with a critical hit for good measure.
I believe when that happens, it's just called Gravy on top, but here it is, the Buzzwole Ice Punch.
Yeah, Ice Punch from Buzzwole, making sure to clean up that Garchomp, take some rough skin as well, but, you know, Buzzwole's fists hurt.
Yep. Now Tapu Koko is going to be forced to come in. Buzzwole does get that Beast Boost, which means it's going to be doing a lot of damage. But again, that Poison is so huge because that Tapu Koko took so much damage on that switching, and now it only has one more turn sticking around. And there's still the Tapu Koko over on Tomoyuki's side as well. Yeah, if Tomoyuki has it, 2 Pokemon with Protect can just come in here, stall out a turn, and then he'll be playing a 3 versus 1 against Hariyama. And Hariyama's a really great, really strong Pokemon, but I don't see how he comes back from that. Yeah, Hariyama really can't hit Buzzwole, it can't hit Tapu Koko, and it can't hit Salamence at all. And those are, incidentally, the last 3 Pokemon on Tomoyuki's side. Yeah, I mean, you can't go for a Poison Jab, but I don't know if Hariyama really has it because, you know, Hariyama has Fake Out. We've seen, you know, it obviously is most likely carrying Close Combat and other support moves. You know, there's a lot of different options that Hariyama can have. Again, since this Hariyama doesn't have a Flame Orb, I really want to say that this is more of a support-based Hariyama as well. So here we have it. Tapu Koko hits the field on both sides. Really now it's a game of information. Yeah. How much information is René willing to forfeit, or is he just how much is he willing to forfeit when he plays it out? So needs to get some more information from Tomoyuki if he's going to bring this back in Game 2. Tomoyuki now just trying to clean up without giving away anything extra, but should be a pretty easy win here for Tomoyuki just to clean up from this position. Looks like it is going to be a Protect from Tapu Koko, stalling out that 1 turn of poison damage from both Buzzwole and Tapu Koko. And now René needs to be thinking about Game 2. Yep, and Tapu Koko just hits in those Protects. It's going to get KO'd. And I'm pretty sure the other Pokemon on Tomoyuki's side will be able to clean up easily. Yeah, Hariyama showing the Close Combat. Not going to be dealing much damage to either of these Pokemon on Tomoyuki's side. Maybe René is going to be able to figure out, you know, how much damage, what kind of training has been invested in either the Tapu Koko or the Buzzwole here. But other than that, looks like it might just be the forfeit, and René should move on to Game 2. Yeah, no more information to give. You really don't know what else you can gain from it. I mean, Buzzwole and Tapu Koko are just going to double into that Hariyama. You don't want to reveal what kind of bulk that Hariyama exactly is packing either. Absolutely, and there is the forfeit. Tomoyuki Yoshimura will take Game 1 as we move on to Game 2. Really, throughout that entire game, Tomoyuki had control. Really playing a superb game of Pokemon there, being able to cycle those Intimidates, had so many switches, and it always felt like René was 1 or 2 turns behind. Needs to find a way to control that momentum a little bit better going into Game 2. Yeah, René really has to find a way to deal with that Salamence because that Salamence kept coming in and coming out. The fact that the Tapu Koko, I believe, on Tomoyuki's side actually had Volt Switch really allowed him a great pivot right there, you know. Yeah. If Salamence was in, he was still able to go for yet another Intimidate, you know, just switch out that Salamence, Volt Switch that with that Tapu Koko, hit something, and then switch out, get another Intimidate. Good information for Tomoyuki to actually have too, that Garchomp is going to be a Swords Dance variant, so you can't really leave it alone too much. You need that Salamence in order to keep it in check.
Yeah.
Because, well, we've seen its attacking moves pretty much. It has Earthquake, Tectonic Rage, because it's holding that Ground EMZ. It has Rock Slide, it has Swords Dance. So you know the entire set on that Garchomp. It's pretty safe. Obviously, Rock Slide can damage, but it's just not doing that much damage as long as you continue to cycle those Intimidates in and out.
Absolutely. And a couple of things went really wrong for René in that game. Tomoyuki playing, really far ahead, catching the Celesteela on the switch-in with that Gigavolt Havoc, basically meaning that René was down one of his biggest Pokemon, pretty early on in the match without doing anything, is not something that you want to see happen again. Have to wonder if the Hariyama comes back. Obviously, the fake-out support is good, but may want to have a little bit more offensive pressure from maybe the Arcanine for more Intimidates of its own, or the Tapu Fini.
Yeah, and oh man, could you hear the audience from out? I could hear you. You were talking to me in my headset, and I could still hear the audience from outside rooting on René.
Well, I'm kind of a soft-spoken kind of guy. I don't.
I think that they're just like super loud out there because they're showing all of their support. And you're right, Evan, like the Hariyama, it does provide fake-out support, but at the same time, it's not putting out enough offense. Like, the Salamence resists it, Buzzwole resists it, and also has a very high physical defense stat. Metagross, it's neutral, but still, you're threatening back with a very powerful Zen Headbutt, and of course, Tapu Koko also resists and threatens with a Dazzling Gleam as well. So, maybe the Hariyama isn't the best choice. You gotta look at the other options. What can help deal with that Salamence just a little bit better? The Tapu Fini comes to mind. It does have access to a very powerful Moonblast, and of course, the Misty Terrain will help your Garchomp out against that matchup with that Salamence in the first place.
Absolutely. And of course, you really don't. If you're Tomoyuki, I feel like you brought the right 4 Pokemon. Not seeing any use for Gastrodon really in this matchup unless you're super scared of the Tapu Fini. Nihilego maybe, but just don't think it adds anything else. So René should probably be pretty confident that things aren't going to change too much. Just needs to be able to play better.
Yeah, and a big piece of information, and one thing that actually kind of almost went wrong for René was the fact that Celesteela was pretty much sacrificed early on in the game. Celesteela was unable to set up leeches and stick around for a little bit longer, so that was really unfortunate for René. Obviously, Tomoyuki caught it on that switch, and that was, oh, there it is, the
Latin American contingent.
Really just rooting, and look at them just standing and cheering, and I can hear them.
This is a big venue. We're a little bit far away from the main action over here, and it's still coming through our headphones.
Oh yeah, I mean it's crazy how much they want to root for their fellow Latin American player. Tomoyuki, of course, also has the Japan crowd in the background rooting as well, a bit more calm, but they're still there supporting him as well. So here we go into Game 2.
Yeah, Game 2 here. René Alverenga will need a win here if he wants to represent Latin America and El Salvador in the top 4. That Tapu Koko, Arcanine, Garchomp, Tapu Fini, Hariyama, and Celesteela are his options up against Tomoyuki Yoshimura, who had an incredible Game 1 here, really controlling the pace of the game with that Tapu Koko, Metagross, Salamence, and Buzzwole. Also has the Nihilego and the Gastrodon on the bench.
Yeah, and again, one of the big adaptations that René is going to have to make, find a little bit more offense and find a better way to deal with that Salamence. Again, Hariyama, it might be the one that has to go. I think that Tapu Fini is actually going to be very key. Obviously, you have to watch out where you're going to be switching in. That Buzzwole's ready to go Poison Jabbing wherever it wants to.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't overstate how good the reads Tomoyuki made were. Like, catching the Celesteela on the switch-in with that Gigavolt Havoc, catching the Tapu Koko on the switch-in with the Poison Jab. I mean, these are high-level players, and those types of plays are what make world champions.
And that was all while, the turn where the Buzzwole went for that Poison Jab, Garchomp just protected, so Tomoyuki got a free turn of damage right there.
Yeah. So
René needs to find a little bit more offense in order to push him and take this game. It's so close right now. Time's almost running out on the team preview, and I think he barely got that in. I'm not even sure he got that in.
Tomoyuki is one of those players who likes to live on the edge there, just making sure that he takes every last second to choose his 4 Pokemon.
You want to make sure you get the right ones, right, Evan?
Exactly.
Unless you take too much time and then the program chooses for you.
I trust the game. Let the game play itself.
let it roll itself away.
All right, well, here we are in Game 2. The leads for Tomoyuki Yoshimura are going to be the Salamence and Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko and Hariyama again for René. So René still feeling the Hariyama, still believes in Hariyama, but Hariyama is also just taking another Intimidate from Salamence, just like Game 1.
Yep, and here we have it. It looks like the Salamence might be a big problem yet again, so oh boy, here we go. Evan, are you excited?
I am so excited, Dwee. You know, it's top 8 at Worlds. How can I not be excited?
I know, right?
We've worked a whole year for this moment.
All right. This Tapu Koko, again, it threatens that Salamence with a possible Dazzling Gleam, but you also have to respect that Metagross switch-in that happened earlier. Obviously, Hariyama can go for the same move, fake out that Tapu Koko, but if that Salamence comes in, you're just going to be sitting there, Dazzling Gleam into a resisted Pokemon. So maybe it's time for René to make a call here.
Yeah. Well, Tapu Koko will protect from Tomoyuki's side, but there is no switch out this time around. Salamence staying in the field. Hariyama does go for the fake out onto the Tapu Koko again, but René just going for a Tapu Koko of his own. Deals some good damage to the Salamence, but will be switching out, and Tomoyuki's going to get a shot.
Yeah, so right there, René was probably expecting a switch again, and using that Volt Switch to kind of better his position. Don't get me wrong, though, he can still use his turn to better his position.
Yeah.
If René did make any adjustments now, well, I mean, a Dragon Attack isn't even going to land there.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, Salamence is known to carry Bulldoze, which is actually a very good form of speed support, and now might be a good time to use it because whatever comes in might get slowed down. But
well, not Celesteela.
Not Celesteela. You can't slow down Celesteela.
Oh, it is the Bulldoze. Often seen alongside that Metagross, so no surprise there. Bulldoze the choice for Tomoyuki. Just going to get a little bit of damage dealt onto Hariyama. And, you know, dropping its speed, but Hariyama already not a speed Pokemon, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. Very big difference here from Game 1. René gets that Celesteela in for free, and we do know it has that Wackenberry, so there is no way for Tapu Koko to knock it out in one hit.
Barring a possible critical hit, right? And of course, Salamence could easily just double up into that Celesteela slot to ensure a KO. So that Celesteela still isn't safe, and Hariyama is just kind of sitting out on the field. It can't do anything against Salamence or the Tapu Koko at all.
Yeah.
So really, René not in the best board position, and he's going to have to do some sort of switching here to get himself in a better position to allow that Celesteela to hang on. Possibly a switch from that Celesteela into the Garchomp. You got to bait out that Z move right now.
René definitely needs to start making some calls. Tomoyuki again playing one step ahead, switching Salamence out for Buzzwole. So Tomoyuki bringing out his own Ultra Beast, while René actually retreating the Hariyama here for Garchomp. Bringing out that Garchomp, trying to get some more pressure out here while keeping the Celesteela on the field. Volt Switch will break the Wackenberry on Celesteela, so we'll be dealing a reduced amount of damage while Tomoyuki is able to switch out that Tapu Koko. Have to imagine that he's going to want to get the Intimidates off onto that Garchomp ASAP.
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice right now, and wow, that's a very bulky Celesteela. I mean, that Volt Switch wouldn't have KO'd even without that Wackenberry, so that's going to be a hard target to KO. So again, that Salamence is going to be very, very important. And one thing that I'm noticing about the way that a lot of these Japanese players are playing, they're actually taking a lot of time to think out their moves. You know, they're being very meticulous about what they're doing. They don't want a misplay to occur, or maybe even a misclick, even worse.
Yeah, misplay is like, oh, at least I played, I made the wrong choice. Misclick, that's devastating.
Yeah, so Tomoyuki right now gonna send in that Metagross.
Interesting. So the Metagross out on the field for Tomoyuki. Very bulky Pokemon out here on Tomoyuki's side to tank this Heavy Slam. Celesteela's Heavy Slam not dealing a lot of damage to the Buzzwole on the switch in there. But some slow Pokemon out for Tomoyuki. René may be able to start getting something set up. Because with that Celesteela, which shouldn't be feeling too threatened by these Pokemon if it can start getting some Leech Seed recovery.
Buzzwole did no damage whatsoever. Now Celesteela is actually feeling pretty well right now. I mean, it can easily set up a Leech Seed on the Buzzwole. It can easily set up a Leech Seed on that Metagross. You do have to watch out. You know, it's really tempting to hit Tectonic Rage in that Metagross, but that could lead
Feels
to...
like a bait.
Yep, could lead to a Metagross Protect, and then Buzzwole just easily cleaning up with a possible Tectonic Rage, so you do have to be careful here. You know, this is the World Championships. You're not playing against a player that's new. You know, these players know what they're doing, and here we go, Evan.
Yeah, Tomoyuki withdrawing that Metagross, sending out the Salamence, really hoping to catch a Tectonic Rage there. And even if it doesn't, well, at least it gets the Intimidate off onto Garchomp and Celesteela. So that pitiful Heavy Slam damage is going to be even more pitiful. Garchomp just goes for a Protect here, does not fall for the bait, does not fall for the trap. Actually, both Pokemon protecting on René's side, playing this very safe, maybe a little bit too safe, but actually the double Protect will block this all-out pummeling from Buzzwole. It's going to dramatically reduce the amount of damage that René takes from this.
It's going to be a quarter, and, you know, that is actually a smart play right there from René. You don't want to risk it too much. You kind of want to see what the opponent's going to do. No, none of these Pokemon on the other side can really set up either. So here it is, the all-out pummeling into the Garchomp. Not going to be able to fully protect himself as he gets punched away into the mountains.
Yeah, Garchomp just taking a little bit of damage there from the all-out pummeling. But of course, still gets the Salamence in there, still gets the Intimidate off, so Tomoyuki should still be feeling pretty good about this. René going for a very safe play to make sure he does not take as much damage from, has no risk of taking a lot of damage from the all-out pummeling, but maybe sacrificing board position and momentum.
Yeah, I mean, you wasted the Z move. Now you know the Tapu Koko over on the other side can't go for its Gigavolt Havoc, which is nice. But, I mean, you don't really need the Gigavolt Havoc, do you? Because you've already burned that Celesteela Wackenberry with that Volt Switch, so another Volt Switch should be able to get the KO. Again, you know, Garchomp is heavily threatened. That Buzzwole, it can go for an Ice Punch. Salamence can go for a possible Dragon-type attack, whether it's Dragon Pulse or Dracomir, and yes, that is a good play right there to get it out, but is Buzzwole going to go for a Poison Jab here, or even a Bulldoze just to start setting up and controlling the speeds here, as it's just revolving door Pokemon?
Yeah, we've seen this one before. Switching out the Garchomp or Tapu Koko does get the Draco Meteor though, but Buzzwole will get the Poison Jab on the switch, and Tomoyuki covering both sides there, and the Poison again. So René's Tapu Koko, 2 games, 2 switches into Poison Jabs and the Poison. So again, Tapu Koko only having the 1 turn remaining.
Yeah, and again, that was actually a very safe play by Tomoyuki. That Garchomp had already protected before. If something switches, well, guess what? That's going to be taking a Poison Jab if it's that Tapu Koko. So if only René had switched the other way.
Yeah.
You know, Hariyama, since it's a much more bulky Pokemon, should have been able to take that Draco Meteor and maybe could have hung off from that Poison Jab too. At least Tapu Koko could get in for free.
Yeah.
So that's so unfortunate for René. Now this Tapu Koko, it's just going to get... It's just going to get KO'd yet again. Buzzwole can just protect and try to stall it out. Of course, Salamence can also just switch to Metagross, because right now is a very tempting spot to go just for a Dazzling Gleam.
And I think what's really important here is just seeing these are the kinds of high-level plays that you get in the top 8. A lot of players would make the same play that René made, switching out the Garchomp for the Tapu Koko for the immunity. Tomoyuki covering all bases, making sure that he is able to get those, get everything okay there. Switches in the Metagross for Salamence while Buzzwole protects himself.
You see that nod?
Yeah, Hariyama used feint. René showing the feint on Hariyama. This is why he brought it. Buzzwole falls for the feint, and Tapu Koko actually able to get off some damage this time with a Thunderbolt. Will pick up the KO there, and I'm hearing some life from the Latin American crowd.
Did you see that thumbs up? He just looked at the camera and gave them the thumbs up.
Thumbs up, good turn, got a knockout here, but still in a hole here, needs to make something happen with his final 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, so great.
His Garchomp and his Celesteela.
Great call right there from René to, you know, kind of realize, hey, well, guess what? I need to do something here. I'm not going to fall for that trap. I'm not going to go ahead and go for a Dazzling Gleam, because that Metagross is just going to come right back in. I need raw damage right now. I'm going to go for that feint. I hit it all of game 1 just for Hariyama to do that, and that's probably why he brought it.
Absolutely. And it really feels like René trained Tomoyuki to think that he was going to make the obvious play, making the obvious adjustments from game 1 in this game 2, leading the same way. Have to wonder if it's worth it, because he still got punished with the switch in on with the Poison Jab on that Tapu Koko. But if he's going to make something happen here, it starts right now.
Garchomp comes in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Salamence come right back in either.
If Garchomp's out on the field, its brother Salamence is right there as well.
Brother, are you flying?
Yeah, but unfortunately they're not friends.
I know, they're on the opposite sides of the battlefield right now. That's
Where's Como when you need him?
Anyways, that Salamence coming in is great. You know, the Intimidate goes on that Garchomp, and again, it's going to be close. If a Rock Slide can get the KO with that Intimidate, you'd have to get some feint support right there. But is it worth it to risk getting just instantly KO'd right there? Because that's a Zen Headbutt and a Draco Meteor right there waiting for Garchomp.
Yeah, we already saw the Draco Meteor. I don't know if we've seen Garchomp and Salamence against each other, which one will move first. So could be a problem for one of these Pokemon, for one of these trainers, depending on how they are trained. René opting just to protect Garchomp this turn while Celesteela switches in for Hariyama. Salamence does go for the Draco Meteor again into the Protect, and Metagross will go for the Zen Headbutt, again predicting that Hariyama might stay in there. Deals a little bit of damage to Celesteela, but again, know it had that Whack and Berry, so does not have the option to recover with leftovers.
Yeah, and Hariyama right now in the back, it really... You know, it has that fake out support, it has that feint support, but I just don't think it has a great matchup. Right now, Celesteela needs to be able to get up some leech seeds, and I think Celesteela might be one of the end goals for René right now. It's actually very smart that Garchomp didn't go for a Tectonic Rage in that Metagross. Probably a little bit worried about a possible Protect, so good call right there from René to just play it just a little bit safe.
So René with the Celesteela and Garchomp, really going to need to get the Leech Seed support for Celesteela just to make sure that Celesteela can start walling these Pokemon. René will switch out the Garchomp, doesn't want to take a Draco Meteor. May just need to be sacrificing the Hariyama here.
Yeah, and like I said, Hariyama just doesn't have a good matchup. Now Celesteela has to hang on from this attack from both.
Flamethrower.
Celesteela barely hangs on, but does
barely
Metagross double up?
The Zen Headbutt.
Yep, there you go. Metagross doubles up. No, into Hariyama instead.
Making the reads here. The Zen Headbutt onto Hariyama. He's like, you fooled me once that first game, but I've got the reads on you. You may have trained me to think one way, but I know what's happening right now, and the Salamence is still hanging on with that one hit point. René Alverenga in a very perilous position here. His tournament life depends on if this Garchomp can move first and knock out these Pokemon.
And of course, you also have to worry about that Tapu Koko in the back with the possible Dazzling Gleam too. So, oh boy, René, he is behind and he needs to find a way. Yep, pretty much. A couple Rock Slide flinches right now, and then possibly setting up for an Earthquake. Celesteela also needs to heal back up just a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely Celesteela will need to be healing up if it has any hope against Tapu Koko with Garchomp alongside it. Right now, it's just in Dazzling Gleam range. Just click the win button.
And here we go into this turn. The Bullet Punch.
Not going to have time. Just going to be the Bullet Punch from Metagross, picking up the KO on Celesteela, able to deal that 8 damage. René's Celesteela will go down here. Rock Slide will move first for Garchomp and pick up the KO onto Salamence here. A little bit of damage onto Metagross as well, but Garchomp versus Tapu Koko, one Pokemon, single target Dazzling Gleam damage.
Yep, and it looks like it might be over. It depends on how this Garchomp is trained and also how that Tapu Koko is trained. Luckily for René, the Dazzling Gleam won't be boosted by a Life Orb since we've already seen the Electrium Z. But again, it is single target. Garchomp has to hang on.
Has taken some damage too.
And of course, you can also go for a Bullet Punch too to continue to weaken it away. So this might be it for René.
The Bullet Punch from Metagross will connect with Garchomp, bringing it down even lower. Oh, that is so much damage from the Bullet Punch. Garchomp, it would be crazy if Garchomp could survive this Dazzling Gleam. Tomoyuki connecting the Dazzling Gleam onto Garchomp, not enough. Tomoyuki Yoshimura will defeat René Alverenga, advance to the top 4 here in 2 incredibly well-played sets.
Beautifully played by Tomoyuki. Of course, René also played exceptionally well, especially the adaptations that he made in Game 2. So congratulations to René Alverenga of El Salvador for making it here to the top 8 of the World Championship.